Shema Israel, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Eloheinu Achad. Shema Israel, Shema Israel, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Eloheinu Achad.
And shalom. Welcome to Cover with Jeremy Pyers. So today we're going to be doing part 8 again. Apparently they were working on the internet line down the street when I was going live last week. That's why all the internet interruptions I had. So anyway, this is the redo of it, and welcome everybody. So, and shalom to you as well over the bus. So we're gonna jump right in and believe we left off, what was it, chapter 21? Yes. And one thing real quick before I start, so I finally finished a lot of the studies and putting together the video about the Nephilim that I'm doing. And probably going to do that on probably Shabbat, this coming Shabbat, probably that evening. So stay tuned for that. There's a lot of information in it. It took me a while to put it together. There was actually a lot of information, even more I found while I was studying into it. So there's a lot of things I included. I couldn't include everything that I have. It would have just been way too long. Where it's sitting right now, it's probably going to be about 2 hours. Anyway, join me Shabbat that evening for that video. I'll probably put the link up here after this Anyway, so let's continue with chapter 21 here in the book of Jubilees. And this is the Eth Sefer version for those of you following along. Or you can follow along on your own, but I'll always have what version it is scrolling there across the bottom, as you can see. I've made it a bit more easier to read. I removed all the waterfall and everything in the background. Anyway, let us begin. And in the 6th year of the 7th week of this Jubilee, Abraham called Yitzhak his son, and commanded him, saying, I am become old, and know not the day of my death, and am full of my days. And behold, I am 175 years old, and throughout all the days of my life I have remembered Yahweh, and sought with all my heart to do his will, and to walk uprightly in all his ways. My soul has hated idols, given my heart and ruach, that I might observe to do the will of him who created me. For he is the living Elohim, and he is holy and faithful, and he is righteous beyond all, and there is with him no accepting of men's persons, no accepting of gifts. For Elohim is righteous, and executes judgment on all those who transgress his commandments, and despise his covenant. And to you, my son, observe his commandments, and his ordinances, and his judgments, and walk not after the abominations, and after graven images, and after the molten images. So real quick, just recapping, this is Abraham, well before Moses, as we've seen all through this book, and even Noah and all them, how they were keeping and observing his commands and his ordinances and his judgments. They are following his Torah. His Torah, his laws, have always been. They were only written down for Moses. You know, you can read and study for yourself, beginning in Genesis. And you will see there as well. And we've been over this on my channel. His Torah has always been and will always be. Alright. And eat no blood at all of animals or cattle, or of any bird which flies in the heaven. And if you do slay a victim as an acceptable peace offering, slay ye it, and pour out its blood upon the altar. And all the fat of the offering offer on the altar with fine flour, and oblation mingled with oil. Excuse me. With its drink offering, offer them all together on the altar of the ascending smoke offering. It is a sweet savor before Yahweh. See, once again, all before Moses. And you will offer the fat of the sacrifice of thank offerings on the fire, which is upon the altar, and the fat which is on the belly, and all the fat on the inwards, and the 2 kidneys, and all the fat that is upon them. And on the loins and liver you shall remove, together with the kidneys. And offer all these for a sweet savor acceptable before Yahweh. It is with oblation, and with its drink offering, for a sweet savor, the bread of the offering unto Yahweh, and eat its meat on that day, and on the second day, and let not the sun on the second day go down upon it, until it is eaten. And let nothing be left over for the third day, for it is not acceptable, for it is not approved, and let it no longer be eaten. And all who eat thereof will bring sin upon themselves. For thus I have found it written in the Sepharim of my forefathers, and in the words of Hanok, and in the words of Noach, and on all your oblations shall you strew salt. And let not the salt of the covenant be lacking in all your oblations before Yahweh. And as regards the wood of the sacrifices, beware lest you bring other wood for the altar in addition to these: cypress, bay, almond, fir, pine, cedar, savin, fig, olive, myrrh, laurel, and aspathilus, and aspalathus. And it's pretty interesting how, I believe we went over this before, how there's acceptable woods for sacrifices as well. And if you look, all the other woods, they'll put out like carcinogens and chemicals and such. So I mean, not all of them, but it's just really interesting, really interesting. And of these kinds of wood lay upon the altar under the sacrifice, such as have been tested as to their appearance, and do not lay thereon any split or dark wood, but hard and clean, without fault, a sound and new growth, and do not lay thereon old wood, for its fragrance is gone, and there is no longer fragrance in it as before. Besides these kinds of wood, there is none other that you shall place on the altar. For the fragrance is dispersed, and the smell of its fragrance goes not up to heaven. Observe this commandment and do it, my son, that you may be upright in all your deeds. And and at all times be clean in your body, and wash yourself with water before you approach to offer on the altar. And wash your hands and your feet before you draw near to the altar. And when you are done sacrificing, wash again your hands and your feet. And let no blood appear upon you or upon your clothes. Be on your guard, my son, against blood. Be on your guard exceedingly. Cover it with dust. And do not eat any blood, for it is the soul. Eat no blood whatsoever. And take no gifts for the blood of man, lest it be shed with impunity, without judgment. For it is the blood that is shed that causes the earth to sin. And the earth cannot be cleansed from the blood of man, save by the blood of him who shed it. And take no present or gift for the blood of man, blood for blood, that you may be accepted before Yahweh El Elyon. For he is the defense of the good, and that you may be preserved from all kind of evil, and that he may save you from every kind of death. I see, my son, that all the works of the children of men are sin and wickedness, and all their deeds are uncleanness, and an abomination and a pollution, and there is no righteousness with them. Beware lest you should walk in their ways, and tread in their paths, and sin a sin unto death before El Elyon. else he will hide his face from you and give you back into the hands of your transgression, and root you out of the land, and your seed likewise from under heaven. And your name and your seed shall perish from the whole earth. Turn away from all their deeds and all their uncleanness, and observe the ordinances of El Elyon, and do his will, and upright in all things. And he will bless you in all your deeds, and raise up from you a plant of righteousness through all the earth, throughout all the generations of the earth. And my name and your name shall not be forgotten under heaven forever. Go, my son, in peace. May El Elyon, my Elohim, and your Elohim, strengthen you to do his will. And may he bless all your seed, and the remnant of your seed, for the generations forever, with all righteous blessing, that you may be a blessing on all the earth. And he went out from him rejoicing. Take a quick drink, excuse me. Alright. So chapter 22. And it came to pass in the first week, in the 44th Jubilee, in the second year, that is, the year which Abraham died, that Yitzhak and Ishmael came from the well of oath to celebrate the feast of Shavuot, that is, the feast of the firstfruits of the harvest to Abraham, their father. And Abraham rejoiced, because his 2 sons had come. For Yitzhak had many possessions in Beer-sheva, and Yitzhak was wont to go and see his possessions and to return to his father. And in those days Ishmael came to see his father, and they both came together. And Yitzhak offered a sacrifice for an ascending smoke offering, and presented it on the altar of his father, which he had made in Hebron. And he offered a thank offering, and made a feast of joy before Ishmael, his brother. And Rivkah made new cakes from the new grain, and gave them to Yaakov, her son, to take them to Abraham, his father, from the first fruits of the land, that he might eat and bless the Creator of all things before he died. And Yitzhak too sent by the hand of Yaakov to Abraham a best thank offering, that he might eat and drink. And he ate and drank and blessed El Elyon, who has created heaven and earth, who has made all the fat things of the earth, and given them to the children of men, that they might eat and drink and bless their Creator. And now I give thanks unto you, my Elohim, because you have caused me to see this day. And behold, I am 163 years, an old man, and full of days. And all my days have been unto me peace. The sword of the adversary has not overcome me, in all that you have given me and my children all the days of my life until this day. My Elohim, may your mercy and your peace be upon your servant, and upon the seed of his sons, that they may be may be to you a chosen nation, and an inheritance from amongst all the nations of the earth, from henceforth until the days of the generations of the earth, unto all ages. And he called Yaakov and said, My son Yaakov, may the Elohim of all bless you and strengthen you to do righteousness, and his will before him. And he may choose you and your seed, that ye may become a people for his inheritance, according to his will always. And do you, my son, Yaakov, draw near and kiss me. And he drew near and kissed him. And he said, Blessed be my son Yaakov, and all the nations of El Elyon, excuse me, unto the ages. May Elohim give unto you a seed of righteousness. And some of your sons may he sanctify in the midst of the whole earth. May nations serve you, and all the nations bow themselves before your seed. Be strong in the presence of men, and exercise authority over all the seed of Sheth. Then your ways and the ways of your sons will be justified, so that they shall become a holy nation. May El Elyon give you all the blessings wherewith he has blessed me, and wherewith he blessed Noach and Adam. May they rest on the sacred head of your seed, from generation to generation, forever. And may he cleanse you from all unrighteousness and impurity, that you may be forgiven all the transgressions which you have committed ignorantly. And may he strengthen you and bless you, and may you inherit the whole earth. And may he renew his covenant with you, that you may be to him a nation for his inheritance for all the ages, and that he may be to you and to your seed an Elohim in truth and righteous throughout all the days of the earth. And do you, my son Yaakov, remember my words, and observe the commandments of Abraham your father. Separate yourself from the nations, and eat not with them, and do not according to their works. Become not their associate, for their works are unclean, and all their ways are a pollution and an abomination and uncleanness. Be no part of the world. They offer their sacrifices to the dead, and they worship evil Ruachoth, and they eat over the graves, and all their works are vanity and nothingness. They have no heart to understand, and their eyes do not see what their works are. Sounds exactly like today, huh? And how they err in saying to a piece of wood, You are my Elohim, and to a stone, You are my Adonai, and You are my deliverer. And they have no heart. As for you, my son Yaakov, may El Elyon help you, and the Elohim of heaven bless you, and remove you from their uncleanness, and from all their error. Be you aware, my son Yaakov, of taking a woman from any seed of the daughters of Canaan, for all his seed is to be rooted out of the earth. For owing to the transgression of Ham, Canaan erred, and all his seed shall be destroyed from off the earth, and all the remnant thereof, and none springing from him shall be saved on the day of judgment. And as for all the worshippers of idols and the profane, there shall be no hope for them in the land of the living, and there shall be no remembrance of them on the earth, for they shall descend into Sheol, and into the place of condemnation shall they go. As children of Sodom were taken away from the earth, so will all those who worship idols be taken away. Fear not, my son Yaakov, and do not be dismayed, O son of Abraham. May El Elyon guard you from destruction, and from all the paths of error may he deliver you. So this just pretty much, real quick, just goes into do not follow men. Do not be any part of this world. It also goes more into how Canaan, why they were rooted out and destroyed from the land. There's so much context and backstory that Jubilees explains, and it's amazing. And that's why I love this book. This house have I built for myself, that I might put my name upon it in the earth, is given to you and your seed forever, and it will be named the house of Abraham. It is given to you and to your seed forever, for you will build my house and establish my name before Elohim forever. Your seed and your name will stand throughout all generations of the earth. And he ceased commanding him and blessing him. And the two lay together, one on one bed. And Yaakov slept in the bosom of Abraham, his father's father. And he kissed him 7 times, and his affection and his heart rejoiced over him. And he blessed him with all his heart, and said, El Elyon, the Elohim of all, and Creator of all, who brought me forth from Ur of the Kasdim, that he might give me this land to inherit it forever, that I might establish a holy seed. Blessed be El Elyon forever. And he blessed Yaakov, and said, My son, over whom with all my heart and my affection I rejoice, may your grace and your mercy be lifted upon him and upon his seed always. And do not forsake him, nor set him at naught from henceforth unto the days of eternity. And may your eyes be opened upon him and upon his seed, that you may guard him and bless him, and may sanctify him as a nation for your inheritance, and bless him with all your blessings from henceforth unto all the days of eternity, and renew your covenant and your grace with him, and with his seed according to all your good pleasure, unto all the generations of the earth. So chapter 23. And he placed 2 fingers of Yaakov on his eyes. And he blessed the Elohim of Elohim. And he covered his face and stretched out his feet, and slept the sleep of eternity, and was gathered to his fathers. And notwithstanding all this, Yaakov was lying in his bosom, and knew not that Abraham, his father's father, was dead. And Yaakov awoke from his sleep, and behold, Abraham was cold as ice. And he said, Father, Father. But there was none that spoke, and he knew that he was dead. And he arose from his bosom, and ran and told Rivkah, his mother. And Rivkah went to Yitzhak in the night, and told him. And they went together, and Yaakov with them, and a lamp was in his hand. And when they had gone in, they found Abraham lying dead. And Yitzhak fell on the face of his father, and wept and kissed him. And the voices were heard in the house of Abraham. And Ishmael his son arose, and went to Abraham his father, and wept over Abraham his father. He and all the house of Abraham, they all wept with great weeping. And his sons Yitzhak and Ishmael buried him in the double cave, near Sarah his woman, And they wept for him 40 days, all the men of his house, and Yitzhak and Ishmael, and all their sons, and all the sons of Keturah in their places. And the days of weeping for Abraham were ended. And he lived 3 jubilees and 4 weeks of years, 175 years, and completed the days of his life, being old and full of days. For the days of the forefathers of their life were 19 jubilees, and after the flood they began to grow less than 19 jubilees, and to decrease in jubilees, and to grow old quickly, and to be full of their days by reason of manifold tribulation, and the wickedness of their ways, with the exception of Abraham. For Abraham was perfect in all his deeds with Yahweh, and was pleasing in righteousness all the days of his life. And behold, he did not complete 4 jubilees in his life, when he had grown old, by reason of wickedness, and was full of his days. And all the generations shall arise from this time until the day of the great judgment, shall grow old quickly, before they complete 2 jubilees. And their knowledge shall forsake them by reason of their old age, and all their knowledge shall vanish away. And in those days, if a man live a jubilee and half of years, they shall say regarding him, he has lived long, and the greater part of his days are pain and sorrow and tribulation, and there is no peace. For calamity follows on calamity, and wound on wound, and tribulation on tribulation, and evil report on evil report, and illness on illness, and all evil judgments such as these, one with another, illness and overthrow, and snow and frost, and ice, and fever and chills, and torpor, and famine, and death, and sword and captivity, and all kinds of calamities and pains. And all these shall come on an evil generation, which transgress on the earth. Their works are uncleanness, and fornication, and pollution, and abominations. Sound familiar? Just like this generation now? Then they shall say, the days of the forefathers were many, even unto 1,000 years, and were good. But behold the days of our life. If a man has lived many, there are 60 years and 10. If he is strong, 80 years. And those evil. And there is no peace in the days of this evil generation. And in that generation the sons shall convict their fathers, and their elders of sin, and unrighteousness, and of the words of their mouth, and the great wickedness which they perpetuate, and concerning their forsaking the covenant which Yahuwah made between them and him, that they should observe and do all his commandments, and his ordinances, and all his Torah, without departing either to the right hand or to the left. See, this verse 16 right here really jumps out at me, because it feels like me. I'm telling my family and my fathers and all these elders and etc. We need to follow his commandments, his ordinances, all of his Torah. Stop following churchianity. Churchianity is a lie. It's meant to deceive. And then I'm warning them of these things, and they just take it as a personal attack, like I'm attacking them, when I'm not attacking them at all. I'm trying to wake them up and see they're being lied to. Everyone's being lied to, but most of the people don't even care, and that's the sad thing. And they want to defend the lie that they're being told. And that's a lot of my family, unfortunately. And I pray for them, I'm glad many of them are awake enough to see that they're not going to take the vaccine. But sadly, that's where it stops with them. And they're not awake enough to see what His Word really says. And they don't want to listen to me at all. They think I'm attacking them when I'm not. I'm attacking the satanic system they're trapped in. I'm trying to break the spell off them. They just don't see it that way. Anyway, forgive me. I ramble sometimes. But I mean, it's the truth. Behold, the earth shall be destroyed on account of all their works, and there shall be no seed of the vine, and no oil, for their works are altogether faithless, and they shall all perish together, beasts and cattle and birds, and all the fish of the sea, on account of the children of men. Excuse me. On account of the children of men. And they shall strive one with another, the young with the old, and the old with the young, the poor with the rich, the lowly with the great, and the beggar with the prince, on account of the Torah and the covenant, for they have gotten commandment and covenant and feasts and months and Sabbaths and Jubilees and all judgments. Exactly. That's the whole thing right there. They've forgotten the Torah, they've forgotten the covenant, they've forgotten the commandments, the feasts, the months, and the Sabbaths. You got these people barking at and howling at the moon, thinking every full moon's a Shabbat. And then it's always a different day with them. One week it's Tuesday, one week it's Wednesday, and then like how is that 7 days? Not to mention the moon is completely off and is not meant for months, as Jubilees here describes, and we have went over. It's like right in the beginning of Jubilees, pow. But that's the whole thing. They forget all these, and it's all been lost because these books have been hidden. And then you got these scholars and etc. that just bash them and badmouth them and give excuses as to why they shouldn't be read at all and should just be tossed and burned, etc. Well, they're just being fed the narrative because they themselves have never read it. So they're just going off what this other person has said about it, which is what too many people do. They don't take the time to read it for themselves. And some that do, that claim they read it, they'll skim through it, cherry picking verses here and there and go, oh, yeah, nope. Now, I'm not saying all the books that were removed or extra biblical apocryphal books are legit, but a lot of them are. That's why you got to test everything. And they shall stand swords and war to turn them back into the way, but they shall not return until much blood has been shed on the earth by one another. And those who have escaped shall not return from their wickedness to the way of righteousness, but they shall all exalt themselves to deceit and wealth, that they may each take all that is his neighbor's. And they shall name that great name, but not in truth, and not in righteousness. And they shall defile the Holy of Holies with their uncleanness, and the corruption of their pollution. So, there's a lot right in there as well. They exalt themselves to deceit and wealth. Most of these preachers and pastors and a lot of just people, all they care about is wealth and getting rich. How can I make more money? Money, 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 money. It's not even about money. Store up for yourself treasures in heaven, not on earth. And that they may each take all that is his neighbor's. So you got people stealing, especially in these times, and it's only going to get worse. People are going to start coming into other people's houses trying to get food and supplies. And they'll talk about coming in, Messiah's name or Yahweh's name, but it's not going to be in truth, and it's not going to be in righteousness. The false preachers and false prophets, false churchianity, they shall defile the Holy of Holies. That's our bodies, our spirit. They make you think eating pork is fine and eating bottom feeders is fine. Now go ahead, eat this pig. Oh, we just blended a mouse and a pig. Go ahead, it's even better for you. Nope, it's their uncleanness, and the corruption of their pollution. It's just amazing what this book is talking about. For those who don't think Jubilees is scripture, I think you got to do a lot more studying, because this is absolutely 100% scripture. I could say it's my opinion, but it's a fact because it lines up, and we've seen this. We're like halfway through Jubilees. Jubilees is pretty big, as you can tell. There's a lot in it. And if you followed us up until now, you can see why they've removed it and hidden it. And the mainstream wants to talk bad about it, because it reveals so much. And a great punishment shall befall the deeds of this generation from Yahweh, and he will give them over to the sword and to judgment, and to captivity, and to be plundered and devoured. And he will wake up against them the sinners of the other nations, who have neither mercy nor compassion, who shall respect the person of none, neither old or young, nor anyone. For they are more wicked and strong to do evil than all the children of men. And they shall use violence against Yasharel, and transgression against Yaakov. And much blood shall be shed upon the earth, and there shall be none to gather, and none to bury. In those days they shall cry aloud, and call and pray that they might be saved from the hand of the sinners, the other nations, but none shall be saved. And the heads of the children shall be white with gray hair. And a child of 3 weeks shall appear old like a man of 100 years, and their stature shall be destroyed by tribulation and oppression. So this is prophesying future events that are to come. Also, going into Daniel and Revelation and all that as well. So not only does Jubilees explain in context Genesis and Enoch, but it's also going into like Daniel and Revelation prophecies, more in detail about what's going to happen. So it's no wonder they hide this. And in those days the children shall begin to study the Torah, and to seek the commandments, and to return to the path of righteousness. That's us, Mishpacha. The children shall begin to study the Torah, and to seek the commandments, and to return to the path of righteousness. That's us. And the days shall begin to grow many, and increase among those children of men, until their days draw nigh to 1,000 years, and to a greater number of years than before was the number of days. And there shall be no old man, nor one who is satisfied with his days, for all shall be as children and youths, and all their days shall complete, and live in peace and in joy. And there shall be no Satan, nor any evil destroyer, for all their days shall be days of blessing and healing. And at that time Yahweh will heal his servants, and they shall rise up and see a great peace, and drive out their adversaries. And the righteous shall see and be thankful, and rejoice with joy forever and ever, and shall see all their judgments and all their curses on their enemies. And their bones shall rest in the earth, and their ruach shall have much joy, and they shall know that it is Yahweh who executes judgment, and shows mercy to hundreds and thousands, to all that love him. And do you, Moshe, write down these words, for thus are they written, and they record them on the heavenly tablets, for a testimony for the generations forever. So wow. Amazing, huh? So now it's talking about the new heavenly reign, and how there's going to be no more Satan. Like, it's so amazing. Alright, so, excuse me. So, chapter 24 here, this is going to be the last one for this evening. And then, if you didn't notice, I switched the Maccabees reading from yesterday to tomorrow. I just had a lot going on. I wanted to finish my Nephilim video, which I did. And yeah, so the last part of Maccabees is going to be tomorrow evening. And then next Shabbat, I'm going to be airing my Nephilim video. It's going to be pretty exciting. There's a lot in it. You know, it's going to be a little, kind of a side thing I'm going to do on the side besides reading scriptures. I'm going to be going into, like, our history, our present, and our future. So they're just going to be little series, as you could tell, like our history and what it is, what we have been taught has not been truthful. Anyway, but yes, all those are actually, they're all connected and they tie into each other. So the mud floods, the Nephilim, they're all connected, and we'll get into that. But that will be for when I air that. So stay tuned. Alright, chapter 24. And it came to pass, after the death of Abraham, that Yahuwah blessed Yitzhak his son, and he arose from Hebron, and went and dwelt at the well of the vision, in the first year of the 3rd week of this Jubilee, 7 years. And in the first year of the 4th week, a famine began in the land, besides the first famine, which had been in the days of Abraham. And Yaakov sawed lentil pottage, and Esau came from the field hungry. And he said to Yaakov his brother, Give me some of this red pottage. And Yaakov said to him, Sell to me your primogenitor, or birthright, this birthright, and I will give you bread. Also some of this lentil pottage. And Esau said in his heart, I shall die. Of what profit to me is this birthright? And he said to Yaakov, I give it to you. And Yaakov said, Swear to me this day. And he swore unto him. And Yaakov gave his brother Esau bread and pottage. And he ate until he was satisfied. And Esau despised his birthright. For this reason was Esau's name called Edom, on account of the red pottage, which Yaakov gave him for his birthright. And Yaakov became the elder, and Esau was brought down from his dignity. And the famine was over the land, and Yitzhak departed to go down into Mitzrayim in the 2nd year of this week, and went to the king of the Pelishtim, to Gerar, unto Avimelech. And Yahuwah appeared unto him, and said unto him, Go not down into Mitzrayim, dwell in the land that I shall tell you of, and sojourn in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and your seed will I give all this land, and I will establish my oath, which I swore unto Abraham your father. And I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and I will give unto your seed all this land. And in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because of your father obeyed my voice. Because your father obeyed my voice, and kept my charge and my commandments, and my Torah, and my ordinances, and my covenant. And now obey my voice, and dwell in this land. And he dwelt in Gerar 3 weeks of years. And Avimelech charged concerning him, and concerning all that was his, saying, Any man that shall touch him, or anything that is his, shall surely die. And Yitzhak waxed strong among the Pelishtim. And he got many possessions, oxen, and sheep, and camels, and asses, and a great household. And he sowed in the land of the Pelishtim, and brought in 100-fold. And Yitzhak became exceedingly great, and the Pelishtim envied him. Now all the wells which the servants of Abraham had dug up during the life of Abraham, the Pelishtim had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and filled them with earth. And Abimelech said unto Yitzhak, Go from us, you are much mightier than we. And Yitzhak departed thence into the first year of the 7th week, and sojourned in the valley of Gerar. And they dug again the wells of water, which the servants of Abraham his father had dug, and which the Pelishtim had closed after the death of Abraham his father. And he called their names as Abraham his father had named them. And the servants of Yitzhak dug a well in the valley, and found living water. And the shepherds of Gerar strove with the shepherds of Yitzhak, saying, The water is ours. And Yitzhak called the name of the well perversity, because they had been perverse with us. And they dug a second well, and they strove for that also. And he called its name Enmity. And he arose from thence, and they dug another well, and for that they strove not. And he called the name of it Room. And Yitzhak said, Now Yahweh has made room for us, and we have increased in the land. And he went up thence, from thence to the well of the oath, in the first year of the first week, in the 44th Jubilee. And Yahweh appeared to him that night, on the new moon of the first month, and said unto him, I am the Elohim of Abraham your father. Fear not, for I am with you, and shall bless you, and you shall surely multiply your seed as the sand of the earth, for the sake of Abraham my servant. And he built an altar there, which Abraham his father had first built. And he called upon the name of Yahweh, and he offered sacrifice to the Elohim of Abraham his father. And they dug a well, and they found living water. And the servants of Yitzhak dug another well, and did not find water. And they went and told Yitzhak that they had not found water. And Yitzhak said, I have sworn this day to the Pelishtim, and this thing has been announced to us. And he called the name of that place the Well of the Oath, for there he had sworn to Abimelech, and Achuzeth his friend, and Pektor the perfect, or his host, the prefect, or his host. And Yitzhak knew that day that under constraint he had sworn to them to make peace with them. And Yitzhak on that day cursed the Pelishtim, and said, Cursed be the Pelishtim unto the day of wrath and indignation from the midst of all nations. May Elohim make them a derision and a curse and an object of wrath and indignation on the hands of the sinners, the other nations, and the hands of the Kediyim. And whosoever escapes the sword of the enemy and the Kediyim, may the righteous nation root out in judgment from under heaven, for they shall be the enemies and foes of my children throughout their generations upon the earth. And no remnant shall be left to them, nor one that shall be saved on the day of the wrath of judgment. For destruction and rooting out and expulsion from the earth is the whole seed of the Pelishtim reserved. And there shall no longer be left for these Caphtorim a name or a seed on the earth. For though he ascend unto heaven, thence shall he be brought back down, and though he make himself strong on the earth, thence he shall be dragged forth. And though he hide himself among the nations, even from thence shall he be rooted out. And though he descended into Sheol, there also shall his condemnation be great, and there also shall he have no peace. And if he go into captivity by the hands of those that seek his life, shall they slay him on the way, and neither name nor seed shall be left to him on all the earth. For into eternal malediction shall he depart. And thus it is written and engraved concerning him on the heavenly tablets, to do unto him on the day of judgment, so that he may be rooted out of the earth. My, oh my. Alright. So, alright, get my shirt right. So, yeah, it's such an amazing book. Such an amazing book. Like, if you haven't read any of the books that I've read here on my channel, I highly recommend all of them. Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, every single one of them predicts Messiah, especially Levi. The Apocalypse of Abraham, the Testament of Abraham, all the way up until the Jubilees, and everything I'm going to do on this channel are going to be books that I've read and tested. So that's the whole thing. And I want you guys all to read and test them for yourself as well. And just test everything to His Word. Test everything to His Word. There's the canonical scriptures give us the base standard to go off of. So if a book is not matching up with this base standard, or it tries to describe a different base standard, it's not accurate, and it's not going to match up. Everything I've read on here has matched up with that base standard. That's what I go off of. That's what I test everything off of, is what is described in the base canonical scriptures that we know of today. Even though nowhere in scriptures does it say to have a canon, and it doesn't even say which books you should and shouldn't read. Pretty much says to read and test everything, honestly. So, thank you for joining me this evening. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell for notifications. I noticed you have to click like all, otherwise you're not going to get any notifications. And join me tomorrow for the finale of the reading of the book of 1st Maccabees. Join me next Shabbat for the premiere of my Nephilim video. It's going to be amazing. Trust me. A lot in there. It actually took me 2 weeks to go over everything, compile it, put things in order, and I actually created a slideshow, so everything's going to be in order. I'm not going to miss everything. Some mud flood videos, I was kind of all over the place, and I apologize for that. So this one, I wanted to make sure it was all in order. Everything's following a timeline, so it's going to be very, very interesting. Thank you guys. I hope you have a blessed evening. I hope you have a blessed week. Thank you all for subscribing and liking and following me. And I appreciate and love every single one of you. Have a good evening, and shalom.